Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to TOI Auto, another special episode. We have got a special guest with us and we are going to be talking about BMW India today. And I've got Mr. Hardeep Brar with us. Thank you, Mr. Brar, for joining us for this conversation. And Mr. Brar took charge of BMW operations, if I'm not wrong, maybe a little over 3 months back.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
So, before we go into the company, the brand, the numbers, one thing I would want to ask you is, you were earlier with a very different brand, Asian brand. How has it been overall, the shift, the change?
So firstly, thank you for being here and talking to me. So it's been, as you said, I joined on the 1st of July, but I formally took over from the 1st of September. The first 2 months was visits in Munich and some of the other markets, but Munich is really impressive. The BMW Welt and the BMW Museum is the next level, and I would recommend anybody who's listening here should definitely visit these places to get the real immersion in BMW world. I think the brand is amazing, the people and the culture is very different, and you can actually feel that premiumness and luxury in the culture itself. Started from 1st of September formally, and since 14th August, the announcement had happened that GST cuts are going to happen. So there was lull all around, of course, for the better future. But till 21st of September, there was no action because everybody was waiting for the cars, for the new prices and the cars to arrive. And from 21st, we actually started the wholesale and the cars could not reach. So whatever limited stock we had to do with it. But the response was great. The booking bank went up by almost 40%. Year on year. Even in this month, the growth over last year is quite strong, which is a very positive indicator. Till August, our retail growth was about 11%. By end of September, it moved to 13%, and I'm very confident that by end of December, this will be a very strong double-digit growth come December 2025. So overall, very positive because, as you know, things were not great till August. The sentiments were very muted, and I think GST 2.0 came in just at the right time to really bring that excitement amongst the consumer and also the Indian market as well.
So, Mr. Brar, like you mentioned, 11%, 13% growth you mentioned in the months. Now, with this GST cut coming in and putting its contributions, do you see this number rising like significantly for the festive month?
Of course, this is a combination of festivities as well as the GST cut. And I mentioned that, the growth rate are likely to be very strong, double digit. But it also is happening because of the pent-up demand, which for that 40 days when no action happened after the announcement of GST cut and when it was eventually implemented from 14th August to 21st of September were good 37 days. Where customer was holding on. So that entire customer is now coming down, which is why the growth levels of 40%, which I spoke about, look a little abnormal. I don't think this is going to continue like this, but I think versus pre-GST and post-GST, I think the luxury car segment will grow at about 9 to 10%. Of course, our growth is much better because we are doing better than the market, and also the overall market is likely to grow at about 5 to 6%. Which earlier the sentiments were that it may even be a flat year or could be negative even. So looking the change from that scenario to what it is today, I think things are looking far better than what it was.
And very interestingly, you mentioned that period of 37 days. So I'm sure even I want to understand, our viewers would also want to understand those 37 days. How were sales being managed? What was was there anxiety? What was it around?
So as you know, there was a lot of anxiety about the cess loss which dealers had to absorb. Yes. So the only way to absorb that cess was to sell cars even if you had to give higher discount. So we actually went a little aggressive in terms of our discounts. In fact, even today customer feel that buying pre-GST would have been far more beneficial than after GST because discounts levels really went up. Of course, we all knew Navratras are coming and most of the buying happens in Navratra. So while we are not really selling cars, but that's when the entire action happened where you took all the bookings, started preparing the cars which were there in the stock so that you start delivering those cars during the Navratra. So it wasn't that everybody was sitting silent. Everybody was working on making sure that when the Navratras kick in, we don't lose out on any of the opportunities. So you have to do a lot of spade work before the actual sale happens, and that was a time which we used for a very, very productive spade work.
And coming to the portfolio
Yeah.
right now, if you could just take us through, the highlights. What have been the recent highlights?
Yeah. We have our overall portfolio. We have 60% SUVs, where we have iX1, X3, X5, and X7, and 40% is for sedans, which is 3 series, the 2 series, 3 series, 5 and 7 series, the beauty is the sedans in luxury are doing far better than what it is happening in mass market. The overall sedan market is just about 10%, right? But whereas if you see the BMW portfolio, it is 40%, which is significantly higher because the premiumness which is attached to the sedans, even the comfort which you get in the luxury/premium sedan is far better, and hence this consumer still is going very, very strongly for the sedans.
What about the electric vehicle side? How's that segment performing?
So electric has been our real success story over the recent years, especially this year when we launched the iX1. Today, our electric contribution is about 21% to our overall portfolio, which is the highest in the industry. And the government had given a mission of 30% by 2030. I think we will be the only player to achieve that, and that too by 2027, 3 years ahead of its time.
So in the medium term, Mr. Brar, what kind of penetration are you seeing in your portfolio for EVs, say by 2030?
So as I said, we are already at 21%. By 27, we will hit about 30% ballpark. And after that, it could reach 35%. So we don't get too much into it. But the point is, we have the portfolio, and then we maneuver our portfolio based on what the demand is, right?
Okay.
We never anticipated that it'll reach 21% this year, but then we were very quick enough to ramp up our supplies so that we are able to cater to the demand which it generates. People ruled out diesel about 3 to 4 years back, and many people moved out, but we continue to stick to diesel, and even today it is about 18 to 19%. So we prefer to move with the way market moves, because you can't really anticipate how the consumers would move in the future. So we keep our options open and take advantage of the way the market is moving.
The iX1, when it was launched, made a lot of noise, of course, for very obvious reasons. Till now, the performance, has it been in line, over expectations? How's it been?
It's been beyond expectations, frankly. So we have already sold now 2,500 BEVs this year. And on the whole, since inception, we have crossed 5,000 mark. Right. So it has been beyond expectation. We didn't expect that it will hit a 21% mark this year.
What's the role of iX1 being specifically? Like, would you have a number in terms of this?
I think the majority of this is iX1, almost 80%, 70 to 80% would be iX1. And rest we have i5, i7, iX. So rest of them are doing, because they go much higher in the pricing order, and hence the volumes are smaller there.
In terms of capacity, how are you placed? I believe there is also a significant waiting time for iX1 and some other models as well.
Yeah. So iX1 was at 2 months waiting, while there was no impact on the GST for the electric vehicles. But surprisingly, iX1 also got very good response because of the euphoria in the market, and it is now almost 3 months plus waiting now on the iX1.
And if you were to talk in terms, you mentioned how sedans are holding strongly. In sedans, you already have, even in the 5, you have an electric variant. In the 7, where do you see the most penetration in the sedan segment for EVs?
I think i7 is doing quite well. I would say i7 has the best penetration, because the kind of feature it provides, even while it is 2 crore plus, the car theater it has, the screen which it gives at the back, the controls which it has it on the back seat, and the comfort which you get in i7 is the next level. So i7 in terms of penetration is doing really, really well.
Mr. Brar, how's the two-wheeler, the Motorrad side of the business been?
So Motorrad has been a mixed bag for us, especially after GST, because the taxes on the greater than 350cc bikes have actually gone up from 31% to 40%. So there's a 9% tax increase on that. Whereas on Smart CC, it has actually come down to 18%. So very strong for Smart CC bikes, which is less than 350 for us. And we are globally the #1 market for Smart CC bikes. Right. And even for core bikes, which are greater than 350, we are the 10th largest market globally. But now we have to see how the demand comes out, especially for the core bikes, because the price gap has now increased between the Smart CC and the core bikes. So that is a bit of challenge, but we'll see by end of this year how it performs.
Have you been able to get any initial consumer sentiment for the larger capacity motorcycles, how consumers are reacting to the increase in prices?
Yeah, of course, they are not very happy with the price increase, so the reaction is not very positive. But we have to see how does it finally translate into sales. So we are working on some of the financing programs so that for them, it doesn't look like a big hit and we keep growing the market. Right. We'll get to know more about that once we really close this year.
Right. The Mini division?
Yeah, Mini is, Mini, we are launching the new Mini Countryman, which is the ICE model, and this is coming another 10 to 15 days, and we are really excited about it. We are getting limited numbers for this year, and it is all sold out. Last month was the best ever month for Mini for us in this year. We sold about close to 80 cars, and this year we will close at about less than 1,000 units on Mini. But next year our plans are very big to have a more than double-digit growth in case of Mini as well.
Like you mentioned, the penetration and the success of EVs in luxury segment has been very good. Mm-hmm. Now, for a brand like Mini, which is more like a lifestyle brand, do you see EVs, making a significant, inroad there as well in a lifestyle brand?
Yeah. So Countryman, the ones which we are selling today is an EV, and now we are bringing in ICE. So till now we had EV in Countryman, and the Cooper was an ICE model, but now we are getting the ICE in Countryman. So till now, Countryman EV has done quite well for us.
And for the year that remains, what are your expectations?
For our overall portfolio, as I said, we are growing at 13%, and we expect that this growth will go to a very strong double digit. So we only expect this 13% will only get better from here.
Your long wheelbase series have done exceptionally well. So are there any plans to extend that longer wheelbase to more models now?
Yeah. So we have now 4 models in long wheelbase. We have iX1, we have 3 series, 5 series, and 7 series. Yeah. And of course, we want to bring all the other models in long wheelbase because that has been really accepted well by the market. So we are in discussion with our headquarters to see how quickly we can get those.
And the X3, how's the reception, the performance of the X3 been since launch?
It's been quite good. The kind of features X3 has, I think its nearest competitors are short by almost 10 features. So X3 is a very, very strong product, and it's doing quite well. The market response has been quite good for that.
And going forward, Mr. Brar, from an industry perspective, how do you view the overall growth of EVs? I mean, considering, of course, now the GST cuts have come in, and we are seeing some stability in policy. What's the long-term growth you're seeing?
I think by 2030, the overall EVs should be about 12 to 13%. From the overall market perspective, luxury will be better. I assume it should be about 20%. We will definitely cross 30%, 35% should be the number for us. Very importantly, I think a couple of factors which are required. Firstly, on the GST front, there was a lot of discussion pre-GST that the GST may go up on BEVs, which would have been a very big dampener, but fortunately there was no impact on that. And I expect that till 2030 we should not touch this because the acceptance of BEVs has been really, really weak. Even now it is 3.5% for the industry. Right. And if we put any further tax on top of this, this will only slow down the acceptance. Number 2, we need to look at the charging infrastructure, both government as well as private players as well as OEMs. We all have to participate together to improve it. And the third thing is the maintenance of this infrastructure. It's not only about putting infrastructure in place, but also making sure that it is up and running, and it's not that people are going and they're finding the chargers are not working. So these are two critical factors. Besides this, how we increase the range of the cars. For example, the TOI Classic, which we have launched in Germany, which will eventually come to India, has a range of 800 kilometers. So when you have ranges like this, then the consumer anxiety naturally goes down. So if you have to travel from Delhi to Jaipur or Delhi to Chandigarh, you can go and come back on the same day without really thinking about what will happen to the charge of the car. So I think factors like these are very, very important to make sure that the EVs are growing in the times to come.
Mr. Brar, you've got cars, in your portfolio, EVs, starting from about 50 lakh going above 2 crores. Now, you're seeing different consumers using it differently. Is there any key difference you're seeing in terms of the charging, parameters or the charging methods used by consumers? Is there a key difference between a 50 lakh segment or a 1 crore or a 2 crore plus?
Not really. Actually, 80% of the charging actually happens at homes only. Most of the electric vehicles are being used within the city for intracity purpose, because wherever the travel is 40-50 kilometers per day and about 1,500 kilometers a month or 18,000 kilometers a year, people are still using EVs more for the cities or for the shorter distance outside. They are not still being used for very, very long distance out of the city. So from that perspective, the city usage is more. And when you are at home, you either will charge at your home or you will charge in your office. I've seen cases where, the traveling, if for example our iX1 gives a range of 500 plus, you just need to charge it once every week, maybe over the weekend. You don't really need to bother that I need to put it for charging every day. So EVs have solved a lot of problem, because for the ICE, your city travel, the fuel efficiency also goes down, whereas for BEVs, it is the other way around. For BEVs in city, the range even goes up, because at slow speed, the battery behaves absolutely fantastic, and your range actually improves within the city.
You got the M division, of course. I would ask you about the numbers of that, but you also have, the M Sport variants now across
that's right.
all models.
Yeah.
So how are those variants doing in terms of performance? You have now democratized M Sport across the lineup.
So M is doing very well for us, and we also are growing at double digit in case of M as well. And we want to keep the brand very iconic like it has been, and we would like to further strengthen it. And we would, for example, M340i is doing extremely well, and still there's a bit of waiting on that, and we are trying to improve the supplies for that. So most of the M models are doing well, and of course, they're all mostly CBUs. We are not producing them here, hence the price points are a little high. But looking at that consumer, he doesn't mind paying the price for the kind of performance that he gets from the M cars.
And going forward, in terms of the overall luxury segment, how do you see the growth happening? For years, we have been talking about, those massive steps that will happen, but it hasn't really happened.
You're right. I think for last 10 years, it is hovering at about 1.1%. It is not growing beyond that. But there are a few things which I see which are changing, and which will really help us in growing further. The consumer dynamics, the psychographics, the demographics is changing. The new customer who's coming in, he doesn't mind spending money to get into a luxury segment, which was the case earlier. Like in my generation, people were more rational buyers, more focused on investment and not or savings, but not spending money on luxury. I think it was also kind of a taboo to showcase the wealth that you have. But that mindset is changing in the new consumer. They feel that if they are earning well, they have all right to spend it on luxury, even if they are not showing off. They want to enjoy the finer things in life. So with that change in mindset, I expect this luxury segment, because people have money, right? But the propensity to spend was an issue, which is changing now. And I feel this 1.1% today should definitely reach anywhere between 1.5 to 2% by end of this decade.
And thereon you see it like growing consistently, or
So till now, as I said, the 1.1% has been constant, but I clearly see an uptick, and especially, where will you get these consumers from? These consumers will come from mass market to the entry of luxury, and which is where products like iX1 and X1 will really help, or the X3 or the 2GC are the ones which are really going to help those consumers to come up and enjoy the luxury products. And once they start enjoying it, and that's when they will start moving to the next step as well. So this first step of growth in iX1 gives us more confidence that it will grow in the future.
one last question that I have, Mr. Brar, is it's a combination of two questions. One, the demographics of your consumer.
Yeah.
Say over the last decade,
Yeah.
how have they changed? Has your consumer got more younger? How much more women have come in? One is that, and second is overall. Maybe if you are, I think you answered that, so maybe you can
Yeah,
start with this one.
So see, earlier, if I look at 10 years back, the average age would be about close to 40, right, which is coming down. By a couple of years, it has come down. Earlier, people only after crossing 45 would start thinking about buying a luxury car. But today, I can see a lot of startup guys, all these tech guys are buying even when they are in their early 30s or even late 20s.
Right.
So that trend is definitely changing. And coming to women, I don't have the data right now, but even there are a lot of women drivers who are coming forward and buying the luxury cars. So that is a big change which is happening in demographics, and which is where I said that this trend of 1.1% will change going forward. And I'm pretty certain that by 2030 it should be minimum 1.5%, and if all goes well, it should cross 2%.
And the last question I'll ask you is, you've been around like for a brief time. You just mentioned you've been to Munich, so you've seen the museum, a lot of things.
Yeah.
Which is the one BMW car you would pick if you had the choice, if you could have just one car?
I think i7 is phenomenal. The kind of the car theater it has, the kind of gadgets it has on the rear seat is phenomenal, and I simply adore that car.
Awesome. Well, it was a pleasure
Thank
talking to
you.
you as always. Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much for your time. And please make sure that you subscribe to the channel and hit that subscribe button as well.